All right, guys, so here we are. This is kind of show you guys how I move around and do the breeding sequence. So this is just an example of a setup that I'm going to do. So we're on the same elevation, same plane with the bull. He's out that direction. As you can see, I kind of have these trees here, and I'm going to be working this little open area right over here, and I'll turn the camera once we start working. But so basically I have my shooter just on the other side of those thick trees. So I know that with me doing this, that bull is going to have to come all the way through those trees to where he can be able to see the elk that's making this noise. So that's why I have the shooter set up. And this is where I talked about that, you know, I set him up, then I looked back to see how far I could see. And this was perfect because there's a little roll right here. And then with that brush and the trees, he's either going to come through this corridor right here and stop to where you can see, or just right up above, there's a little opening in the brush. But either way he comes, and right now we have the thermals kind of drifting down a little bit. So I have, you know, my shooter just right over there, almost on the same plane that I'm standing right now, but I'm going to be uphill a little bit. So, but this will give you an example of a setup to where I'm creating this hang up point. I'm creating to where that bull has to come all the way to this point between these two trees or above the bush to be able to see that elk and all the ruckus here. Well, the only thing is as soon as he does that, he's gonna have to walk past my shooter a good 15, 20 yards. So, okay, so let's rotate the camera here. So, but basically this is the area that I'm just going to kind of work in and do the breeding sequence. Now, you know, I always have everything ready. I always have my tube in one hand. You know, I've got my flap open for the game changer, my open reed, because I'm going to mix all of these sounds in. So now I have the reed in my pocket. Normally I have them in a reed quiver on the bill of my hat. So, okay. So I'm going to kind of start going through this, and then as, you know, get some responses, I'm going to explain what that bull's doing in the response and how I'm going to adjust what I'm doing based on what he's given me. So let's get started. Okay, so that response right there is basically that's a bull doing a roundup bugle. He's acknowledging my cow, and he's trying to call that cow over to him. Now, what I'm going to do to respond to that is I'm going to respond with some huffs, grunts, and whines. I want to introduce a bull into this setup with bull vocalizations because I want to see how he's going to respond to it. So he gave me the roundup bugle. I'm going to respond like this. Now, if you noticed, I did that bull vocalization pointing away from him. I want him to think that that bull is on the backside of the cow. So that kind of gives him kind of this false sense that he can come in and get that cow and get out of here without the bull noticing. Now, if I introduce that bull sound and get a response like this, okay, that's a bull that's kind of a little timid. So if I hear that, I'm mostly going to focus on my cow sounds and do a little bit of just maybe some light raking, some huffs and grunts. I'm not going to get real vocal or real aggressive with the bull sounds because he's already given me a timid response when I introduce that bull. So I don't want to intimidate him. So that's where I'm going to Now, if you notice, I'm pointing my cow vocalizations to the bull. So basically what I'm doing here is my cow is acknowledging that bull. My cow is saying, okay, I acknowledge you. I know you're there. And you know, we did kind of some regathering mews, a couple of assembly mews, just asking that bull to come over. Now, let's say when we did the huffs, grunts, and whines, we get a response like this. Okay, so that's a little bit more of an aggressive response. Okay, that bull's not intimidated the fact that I introduced a bull. So now this is where I'm going to change the ratio. I'm going to go less on the cow sounds, more on the bull vocalizations, because now I'm a defensive bull. Okay, he has shown aggressive. I'm going to be that defensive bull that's defending my cow, my hot cow, and I want to raise his aggression level. And based on that aggressive response, this would kind of be an example of something I'll do. So notice in that one, my cow vocalizations were away. I still haven't pointed my bull vocalizations towards him. I've gone uphill or downhill because I'm not truly in that full-blown aggressive mode. Now, we're going to continue to do this. Now, obviously, pretty quick in between the noises. I mean, if we were doing this as a blind calling, I would have that gap spread out a little bit more in between each of the sounds, but for the sake of the video. And obviously, having a bull engaged and having him bugle back, that's going to mean I can do my sounds more often too. So that's the difference. Blind calling, couple of minutes in between each one, you know, as you're kind of moving around. And I'm kind of staying in a smaller area just because of the camera. I may, you know, go higher up, come down, you know, just really work all over in this area. Now, ultimately, what we're looking for is a bull to give us a good ultra aggressive response, and that might be something like this. Okay, so that bull, his aggression levels risen. He's basically, remember that lip ball, he's telling my cow, come to me, I'm a dominant bull, but he's also telling my bull, stay away, I'm a dominant bull. Now this is the time that I'm going to turn my bull vocalizations towards him. And at this point now I'm actually going to start calling to him. Because up to this point, I've just been telling the story of me doing the breeding sequence and doing my own thing. But now that bull has broke that barrier, and now it's time to address him as the intruder. All right, so there you go, guys. There's an example of the breeding sequence out in the field and how I respond to different bugles. Good luck, guys.